I'm here with Sarah Acker of HUMAN. Sarah, thank you so much for joining
Thank you
me.
for having me.
Yes. Would you give a quick overview of your role at HUMAN?
Yes, absolutely. I lead marketing, global marketing for Human. I've been with the company for 7 years now, which is incredible. I joined an ad tech company called White Ops, and now we are a cybersecurity and agentic company called Human Security. So it's been an amazing journey. I think the most exciting thing about my role now is helping this team bring our agentic story to life. And we've kind of been known throughout history as like the bot people. A lot of that was like ad fraud and IVT, but in this moment, agents are bots. And so we find ourselves perfectly placed to talk and help brands and our customers understand the evolution of the agentic internet and what is happening and how they can use it to further their business.
Awesome. Exciting time.
Yeah,
Exciting space to be in.
absolutely.
I'd love to know where you're trusting agents today within specific workflows or any examples that you can give of how the team is put together.
So it's interesting for us from a brand perspective. I've been hesitant for a while. I was hesitant, right? Back in the day when chatbots were the first kind of agent thing that was starting, as a brand, we were determining what was human and what was bot. And back in the day, bot was bad and human was good. Well, that's not the case anymore, obviously, right? Agents are transforming all of our lives. And so one thing when we like agentic era kind of came about, we wanted to rethink the way that our brand was showing up. And so we hired an agency, an amazing agency called Rise New York, to reimagine the way that the human brand shows up in a world where it's not human good, bot bad. There are good bots, right? So we actually used AI, Google Gemini, and again, through our agency, many brilliant humans were involved in the creation of this, but ultimately it was these incredible AI generated images that showed humans, bots, good bots, and bad bots coexisting in this reimagined universe, right? And so it brought in the same way we are all interacting online. There are humans, there are bots. Like as we shop, as we socialize, as we stream, etc. We brought that to life through the creative. I'm so happy with the results. It's like we could never have done it without AI. So it was a really exciting way of making sure that the good bots and the humans were working together to create something that is better than either could have done by themselves.
Yeah, I think you guys have so much you can do plays on words, right? Like human in the loop means something very, very specific to
Absolutely.
you guys. You wrote earlier this year that everyone wants an agent strategy if they had the visibility, right, to build it. And so, what does that mean? And what does it mean when maybe half the traffic on a publisher's site is now another agent, right? Another company's agent?
Yeah, we put out a report earlier this year that it was our annual quadrillion report about the state of AI. And we are seeing it actually, we passed the threshold last year for the first time. More than 50% of the internet is synthetic. It's bot agents, et cetera, as we were saying. Yeah. So humans, and it's growing all the time, changing all the time, right? Agents are much faster growing than humans at this point. And we hear we're up and down the Croisette. There's all this content. I'm sure you've had this conversation earlier today about like everyone focusing on building agentic strategy, and the agencies are trying to help their customers and the clients are trying to figure it out for themselves and their teams and who owns it and all of these conversations. But from our perspective, agentic strategy really begins with agentic visibility, because if you cannot tell what is a good bot, what is a bad bot, what is an agent, what is happening on your site, what are they trying to do, and what do you trust them to do, what do you want to allow them to do? Because even in this world, we see there's real ChatGPT and then there's spoofed ChatGPT, right? And if you don't know that one of them is probably going to be amazing for your business, right? If you want to get scraped, if you care about AEO and you want to show up because that's going to drive revenue, great. Whatever the fake ChatGPT is trying to do is not something you want on your site, right? And the ability to understand the difference, the visibility into what's happening, and then subsequent control over that is really what is going to allow modern brands to minimize risk, keep the bad bots away, keep the fraud, the abuse away. But really, like, bots are shopping now. And if you're blocking good bots from shopping, spending money on behalf of a real human, you're leaving dollars on the table.
Yeah, revenue impact for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's so great. All right, let's say it's 2036. What is a job in advertising that no longer exists? And the flip side of that is, what's a new job that you think is now being hired for?
So I think that no longer exists. I think it's less about jobs themselves, but fewer. I think there will be smaller numbers of the jobs, the analysts, the creatives. So I think there is going to be obviously some tightening, but I think that I mean, maybe this is trying to be optimistic. I don't really think about anyone just being like, your job is gone. I'm sure that if I thought more deeply, I figure something out. We don't have a dedicated, we have like, we call him like the AI czar, but like he doesn't have a title that is like something about AI. But these people who are kind of the owners of all things agentic and AI within the walls and probably subsequent teams, right? So
Yeah.
people who are understanding cross-functionally the impact of anything that you are using an agent to do or other agents, as you mentioned earlier, like other agents coming in and interacting with your properties. I went to the AEO Foundry event recently, and there was this Princeton PhD talking about how we all need to be working on our metacognition because we have to get better at instructing the bots so that they are as productive as they can be for us. And so I think, like that skill set and then kind of, the orchestrator of
what's
bots.
the information that they need to know versus what a human needs to know and wants to know.
Yeah. And how do you make sure you prompt them in the most like,
Correct.
yeah, exactly. So they don't end up sitting around and, I don't know, spinning.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining us,
Of
Sarah.
course.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. This was fun.